What's up everybody, this is Brenton from Forza Tuning and Performance, and today I have got a Forza Stage 4R Trackhawk and I have the Lamborghini Urus. So we're going to do a little head-to-head comparison on these two vehicles. We're going to go over some stats and some specifics and kind of compare the two vehicles, and then we're going to take them out on the road and see how the Urus stacks up against a Trackhawk. Before we get started, I just want to give a shout out to Demonology 638. He's got a big event coming up called the Big Showdown, March 7th at Texas Motorplex. We've already talked about it. You can get details on his Instagram page. It's Demonology 638. The hashtag will be at the bottom of the screen. So if you want to see the biggest, baddest race from all the YouTube guys that are into cars, you got to check this out. Donkmaster is going to be there. It's going to be a really cool event. So check that out. So what do we have here? We have a Jeep Trackhawk 2018 and we have a 2020 Lamborghini Urus, okay? So as you know, last Friday we released a video specifically on the Lamborghini Urus, kind of went into more depth, more specifics about the vehicle. Pretty good video, we got a lot of positive reviews, so if you want to see that, there'll be a link in the description or in the card above. You can click on it, check out that if you want to know more about this. Also, we have done Trackhawk specific videos. So if you're not really into that or you don't really give a shit how these two compare, there'll be a link in the description or a card above on a Trackhawk specific video. But if you're wanting to know how these two cars compare to each other, that's what this video is going to be about. Okay, so I'm just going to cover some general stuff about the two vehicles. Obviously, in a lot of ways, they're drastically different, but in a lot of ways, they're very close to the same. A lot of the car manufacturers are coming out with some very powerful SUVs right now. The Trackhawk is one, the Urus is one. BMW has the X5M, which is a very impressive SUV. We've got the Rolls-Royce Cullinan. We've got the Bentley Bentayga, the Porsche Cayenne Turbo. There's probably some others, but basically we've got this influx of some very powerful, high-performance SUVs coming onto the market. Everybody who knows me knows I'm a Lamborghini nut. It's my favorite car manufacturer, so this video is kind of, you know, more of what I personally wanted to do because I absolutely love these things. So we'll go over some general stuff here. The biggest thing, price. Everybody knows the price is totally different. The Trackhawk starts at about $86,000 and the Urus starts at about $215,000, so 2.5 times more. So if you're wondering what's more for the money, it depends on what emblem you want on the car and just what you personally like. So there's a big difference in price here. Engine-wise, the Trackhawk, 6.2 liter supercharged V8 Hemi engine, okay? The Urus, a 4 liter twin turbo V8 engine, okay? So pretty different right there. Power-wise, what do we got? The Trackhawk is 707 horsepower at 6,000 RPM. The Urus, 641 horsepower at 6,000 RPM. So right there, we've got definitely have a leading edge going to the Trackhawk for more power. Torque, okay, this is a little bit interesting. The Trackhawk has 641 foot-pounds of torque at 4,800 RPM, okay? I'm emphasizing 4,800 RPM because this is a drastic difference when we get over here. The Urus has 626 foot-pounds of torque, but it is at 2,250 RPM. Okay, so that is a drastic difference. We have a tremendous amount of torque from the Lamborghini at a very low RPM. That is going to be drastic when these two vehicles are racing against each other. Okay, that's a lot of torque way down low. They both have 8-speed automatic transmissions. They're both all-wheel drive, so that's pretty similar comparison. So weight differences, okay? The Lamborghini is definitely going to come out on top on this one. They use a lot of carbon fiber polymers in the vehicle, so it really brings the weight down. So this SUV is 4,800 pounds, okay? One of the lightest SUVs in its class. The Trackhawk, it's not bad, but it's 5,300 pounds, so it's not bad for what it is. But, you know, between the two, there's a decent amount of weight difference here. So what does that mean as far as performance differences, okay? We have the Trackhawk, which its claim to fame was the most powerful SUV when it was released. And if you're strictly going off horsepower, it's either up there, it's still the highest one. I don't know the horsepower on every single SUV, but it is higher than this Lamborghini for sure. Speed-wise, okay? The Trackhawk has a very impressive launch control. The supercharger, it gives instantaneous torque and power right off the line, and it does a 0 to 60 time of 3.5 seconds, okay? Definitely not too shabby, especially on a 5,300 pound SUV. The Lamborghini does 0 to 60 in 3.2 seconds. So we definitely have a winner as far as 0 to 60 times. And again, that is partly because, number one, this vehicle is lighter, And number two, it produces a tremendous amount of torque at a very low RPM range to really get this SUV moving out of the hole. Next, we've got quarter mile times. Everybody wants to know quarter mile times. They're not too different. The Trackhawk is 11.6 seconds at 116 miles an hour, and the Urus is 11.4 seconds at 121 miles an hour. So we're only talking 0.2 of a difference between the two. Top speed, the Trackhawk, 180 miles an hour. That's definitely fast for an SUV. The Lamborghini, which is generally the king of speed, obviously in any of their cars, does 190 miles an hour. So it's a little bit more aerodynamic compared to the body design of the Trackhawk, so that's perfectly understandable. And again, 180, 190, how often are you going to be doing either one? Probably not too much before you go to jail, so it's sort of irrelevant. And another statistic, okay? If you watch the Urus video, which you didn't, you should, because I went into detail on the brake system, and that in and of itself is interesting enough just to tune into the video for that. But we have braking comparisons, okay? I searched high and low, and I couldn't find statistics to perfectly compare these two, mainly because what I could find out is some concrete data for a 60 mile an hour to 0 braking distance on the Trackhawk, which is 114 feet, okay? On the Urus, I found some concrete data, but it was from 70 miles an hour to 0, and it was about 149 feet. So I am not in a position to calculate mathematically what it would be between the other two. So we can get some police analytic guy that does wrecks or whatever in the hell they do to figure that out. But I do know that the brakes on the Trackhawk, they are the biggest brakes that have ever been on a Jeep vehicle. That's not that impressive because it's not like Jeep has made anything really performance oriented. I wouldn't say the brakes on a Wrangler or anything that anybody gives a shit about. But for Jeep, I guess that's a good claim to fame. They are really good brakes. They're 6-piston calipers up front, and it does have a pretty substantial rotor at about 400 millimeters in diameter. If you didn't watch the Urus video, you should, but if you didn't, the brakes on the Urus are going to be hard to beat because they are the biggest brakes ever put on a production car of any type, okay? The rotors are a whopping 440 millimeters in diameter, carbon ceramic, 6-piston brakes. And I went into a little bit of detail on the Urus video that most car manufacturers, especially with a high performance brake system, sub the brakes out to a separate company, which is exactly what Jeep did on the Trackhawk. These are Brembo rotors, okay? So Brembo makes the brakes for the Trackhawk, okay? Lamborghini produces all their brake components in-house, okay? So they don't rely on anybody else. They take it so seriously, they want to design their own brake system from the ground up. And that's what they did. And you see them on this Urus, and they are, to say impressive would be saying it mildly. So that pretty much sums up the braking characteristics and most of the performance characteristics. So we'll get into this a little bit more when we take these vehicles out on the road. Now, obviously, I know that one of these vehicles is drastically more expensive than the other. So there's gonna be a lot of shit talking and comments and stuff. We know that. We're just trying to show you all the differences between two different vehicles. Obviously, this vehicle is not a stock Trackhawk. This is a 1,000 horsepower Stage 4R Trackhawk, okay? We don't have a stock Trackhawk here to compare to the Urus, and this is probably going to be more interesting anyway to see the two. Just take that into consideration. A rather unimportant, boring fact, if you want to know gas mileage, which I can't imagine anybody that's going to buy either two of these vehicles gives a shit about the gas mileage, but if you wanted to know, the Lamborghini is 12 in the city and 17 on the highway, and the Trackhawk is 11 in the city and 17 on the highway, so they're both neck and neck. Again, nobody cares about that. Both these vehicles are very similar in overall size. The wheelbase on the Trackhawk is like 114.8, so almost 115 inches. And the wheelbase on the Urus is 118.2. So we're talking maybe 3 inches. So the only reason I'm bringing that up is because on the Urus video, we talked about the Urus having rear wheel steering, okay? The rear wheels can actually turn plus or minus 3 degrees. At low speeds, the rear wheels turn opposite of the front wheels to really get into a tight turning spot, and it brings the virtual wheelbase of the vehicle shorter than it actually is. We know that the wheelbase is a little bit longer than this, so what's the turning radius, okay? It's actually very, very close. The turning radius for the Trackhawk is 38 feet, and on the Urus it's 38.7. So even though the Urus has rear wheel steering, the Urus still has a slightly larger turning radius. And even though it's not much, I thought it might be worth mentioning specifically because it has rear wheel steering. So both vehicles seat 5 people. The Urus, it has the option of the 2 rear bucket seats. It's not as common, but if we're just gonna compare car to car and both have the folding rear seat, they both seat 5 adults, fairly comfortable for what size vehicle it is. Cargo area. The Urus has a cargo area of about 22 cubic feet with the folding rear seat option. Now, the Trackhawk has considerably more. It's like 36.8 cubic feet of storage area. That's pretty amazing, honestly, because if you look at the two vehicles side by side, physically they're very, very close. So, you know, the Trackhawk definitely has more storage area if that's what you care about. And since these are mostly daily driver type cars, I'd say that that's fairly important to a lot of people. And lastly, wheels, okay? Trackhawk, 20-inch wheels, front and back. They're 20 by 10-inch wheels. They have a 295/45 ZR 20-inch tire on all four corners, okay? So they're all the same. The Urus, it comes standard with 21-inch wheels. So it's 21 by 9.5s on the front and 21 by 10.5s on the back. That is the wheel that it comes standard. And 21 is an oddball wheel for a stock car, and that is due to the enormous front brakes that we talked about earlier. It took a very large wheel to physically fit over top this massive caliper that they put on the vehicle. Now, the Urus also has a 22-inch wheel option and a 23-inch wheel option. Yes, 23 inches. You know, we went over this in the Urus video. 23 is unheard of. I don't think I've ever heard of a production vehicle with a 23-inch wheel. That's not even a common size in and of itself. And in fact, nobody made a tire for this vehicle. So Lamborghini had to reach out to Pirelli to make them a special tire for the vehicle. On this particular Urus, it has the 23-inch wheel option. So what did Pirelli come up with? They made a special set of tires for the front and back of the car. They're Pirelli P0s. The front tire is a 285/35 ZR23, okay? The back tire is a Pirelli P0 325/30 ZR23. So I have no idea how costly those tires are, but I'm sure they are not cheap. Honestly, I'm kind of looking forward to one of these coming in here that need tires, just so I know firsthand what the availability on these tires are, what they actually cost. You know, to me, it's outrageous, but that's Lamborghini. They do outrageous shit, and that's what everybody likes, why people like them. So now that y'all know a little bit about both vehicles, let's get into the interesting part. Let's do some comparison, put these two cars on the road. So what we're doing, we're just doing a comparison between, obviously this isn't totally fair. This is a 2018 Jeep Trackhawk. This has our Stage 4R 1,000 horsepower package. That's a 2020 Lamborghini Urus. It's bone stock. So we're just doing a comparison so you all can kind of see the difference between the two, just because we have both these vehicles at our disposal right now. Okay, everybody, I hope you all liked this video. We thought it was super cool. We had the opportunity to have these two vehicles in here at one time, and you know, we thought it was super cool. So if you like the video, make sure you like and subscribe, and tune in on Mondays and Fridays when we release our videos. Thanks, guys.